Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you like tech and helpful tips, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started.
Does Cheat Engine work on Mac? This is a question many Mac users ponder when they want to tinker with game values, and the straightforward answer is not natively. Cheat Engine, in its official, direct downloadable form, is primarily developed for and runs on Windows operating systems. This isn't due to any fundamental incompatibility with the concept of memory manipulation on macOS, but rather the developer's focus and the underlying architectural differences between Windows and macOS. The software relies on specific Windows APIs and system calls to interact with running processes and memory, which are simply not present in macOS. Therefore, if you're a Mac user hoping to install Cheat Engine directly from the official website and have it run like any other macOS application, you'll be disappointed. However, the lack of a native Mac version doesn't mean it's impossible to use Cheat Engine on your Apple computer. There are several well-established methods to bridge this gap, each with its own advantages and disadvantages, catering to different levels of technical comfort and performance expectations. The most common and often most reliable approach involves using a virtual machine VM solution. Software like Parallels Desktop, VMware Fusion, or the free VirtualBox allows you to install a full version of Windows within your macOS environment. Essentially, your Mac runs macOS, and inside macOS, a virtualized instance of Windows runs, complete with its own desktop, applications, and system resources. Once Windows is running in the VM, you can download and install Cheat Engine just as you would on a standard Windows PC, and it will function within that virtualized environment. The main downsides here are the performance overhead, as your Mac is running two operating systems simultaneously, and the potential cost of commercial VM software and a Windows license. Another popular method is using compatibility layers, such as Wine or its commercial counterpart, Crossover. Wine is not an emulator, is a free and open-source compatibility layer that translates Windows API calls into POSIX calls on the fly, allowing many Windows applications to run directly on macOS without a full Windows installation. Crossover builds upon Wine, offering a more user-friendly interface and commercial support. While these solutions are generally lighter on system resources than full VMs, their compatibility can be hit or miss. Some games and Cheat Engine features might work perfectly, while others may experience glitches, crashes, or simply refuse to run. Success often depends on the specific game and the version of Wine/Crossover. It requires a bit more trial and error and might not provide the seamless experience of a native Windows environment. For Intel-based Macs, M1/M2/M3 Apple Silicon Macs cannot use this method. Boot Camp offers the most native performance. Boot Camp is Apple's utility that allows you to install a full, separate version of Windows onto your Mac's hard drive, creating a dual boot system. When you start your Mac, you choose whether to boot into macOS or Windows. When booted into Windows via Boot Camp, your Mac is essentially a Windows PC, leveraging all its hardware resources directly. This means Cheat Engine and any games will run with optimal performance, just as they would on a dedicated Windows machine. The trade-off is that you need to partition your drive, dedicate significant storage space to Windows, and you have to reboot your machine every time you want to switch between macOS and Windows. This isn't an option for newer Apple Silicon Macs due to architectural differences, x86 versus ARM. In summary, while Cheat Engine doesn't have a native macOS application, Mac users have viable pathways to utilize it. For the most reliable and compatible experience, a virtual machine running Windows is often the go-to, especially for Apple Silicon Macs. For Intel Macs seeking maximum performance, Boot Camp is superior, though less convenient for switching. Compatibility layers like Wine/Crossover offer a lighter but potentially less stable alternative. Choosing the right method depends on your Mac's hardware, your technical comfort, and your specific needs for performance and convenience. Thank you for watching, and if you found this information helpful, please consider subscribing for more tech insights.